Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Reshaped landscape of Taiwan ETF market online briefing. At the beginning, I would like to introduce our guest and speaker today. May I have our guests to say hello to the audience who are also on streaming? Let's welcome our speaker, Ben Chen, the Senior Manager of Taiwan Stock Exchange. Julian Low, the Chairman of Yuanta Securities Investment Trust Corporation. Susan Lin, the Managing Director of Fuji Russell. Betty Chen, the Vice President and Head of Index and Quantitative Investment Business Department. We are very delighted to invite Ben to give us his welcome speech. Now, please join me in welcoming Ben.
首先，欢迎我们的董事长、还有我们的总经理还有副总3位，来交易所，跟我们介绍 ETF 的一个近况及未来的展望。个人从事 ETF 是在92年6月30号0050首档上市，当时也是在刘董的团队之下，帮忙协助，才有第一支挂牌的 ETF。后来这段期间，在这个元大投信的一个团队之下，陆陆续续研发了一些正环的 ETF， 还有一些商品的 ETF， 这些都原则上来讲都是归功于元大投信这边的一个他们的一个创新，还有一个领导的一个规划。那因为时间我觉得重点是放在于今天3位他们的讲演的内容，所以呢，我把时间呢就交给我们的刘董事长，谢谢。
Thank you, Ben. Now, let's welcome Julian. He will give a speech on new ETFs hub in Asia.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's very delighted to have such opportunity to teamwork with the Taiwan Stock Exchanges to host and organize today's events through the webinar to share you and interact with you the current development of the Taiwan ETF market. Basically, special thanks to the deregulation of the Taiwan regulator and our partner, Fuji Rosso, to help Yuanta actually to pave the way for Taiwan ETF growth back in 2003 by launching the very first ETF, equity ETF here in Taiwan, which is the Taiwan Top 50. And since then, actually, now we actually create a new landscape in the skyline of the Taiwan ETF market through the 4x4 in terms of the 4 different asset classes, equity, fixed income, currency, and commodity, and the 4 different type of beta. Actually, it's a 1 beta, 2 beta, -1 beta, and a small beta. So Taiwan is moving into the new area through the ETF products, and is also becoming the new hub of the ETF in Asia. So you can see Taiwan becoming one of the fastest growing ETF market in the world. So we have actually the more than 200 ETF products actually grow from the 50 2 years ago. And now we have a near 2 trillion ETF AUM actually, which is actually more than 4 or 5 times 5 years ago. So you see actually this is a very phenomenon and a significant growth in terms of the products and the AUM. More importantly, actually, we have more than 1.48 million beneficiary in terms of the participation and the penetration. So you see actually the passive versus active in terms of the AUM, Taiwan actually near 50%, which is also one of the highest ratio in the world. And in terms of the penetration and the participation, 1.48 million participation actually is almost a 50% in terms of penetration, while this is almost like 3 million active accounts in the traditional equity trading in the market. So you can see actually Taiwan ETF basically entirely is overwhelmingly popular in terms of the acceptance level among the investors. So you see we have a local equity, international equity, fixed income, and the currency and the commodity, etc. So this is a very, very significant in terms of the growth performance. So Taiwan also have some specialties and the characteristics in terms of the ETF development. You can see actually in terms of the AUM, 72% went to the fixed income market, while 90% of the fixed income AUM went to the insurance. so-called the institutional investor. But however, you can see the participation. Among the 1.48 million participation, there are more than 800K went to the local Taiwan equity markets, especially for those high dividend-driven ETF products for local equity. And for secondary market turnover and the liquidity, actually there are more than 70% went to the future space, including the leveraging inverse and also the commodity currency link products. So this is kind of a well-diversified and well-developed in terms of the ETF markets. Also, Reshaped Taiwan become one of the very, very important in terms of the ETF market developed in the region. So you can see the daily turnover in terms of the beneficiary participation and the AUM and the number of products. Also, Reshaped Taiwan is one of the, very bright performance among the global ETF market. So you see this kind of the exponentially and the skyrocketing curve and the tipping point for Taiwan, especially these 2 or 3 years. For Yuanta, basically we are the first mover in Taiwan. We have the very first one ETF here back to 2003. So to date, actually, we have near 30% in terms of the AUM for the ETF products. But however, actually, we have the very significant turnover in the secondary market, actually, which we represent the 70% in the secondary market. And also, in terms of the beneficiary, we actually have also another 70, while Yuanta has more than like 300,000 participants in our ETF market. So therefore, actually, Yuanta actually very, very critical to Taiwan ETF development. So look into the futures, we will continuously to educate the general public through the book publishings and also to host a lot of the seminar to interact with the market in terms of the education, protection, and the investor education and investor education in this case. So it's very honored and very delighted to have such opportunity to teamwork with the Fuji Russell in the past, and looking forward, we will continuously to teamwork with Fuji Russell. So after this, actually, our head of ETF, Betty, will also share you the strategy and the solution for Yuanta, who actually for help you to fulfill your investor needs in the futures. Once again, many thanks to Taiwan Stock Exchanges and the Fuji Russell, who is our partner, and also the audience today. So wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julian, for your speech. Next, let's welcome Susan. The topic of Susan's lecture is the product and development strategy of Fuji Russell in Asia.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank the Taiwan Stock Exchange, our exchange partner, and Yuanta, our ETF partner in Taiwan, to give me this opportunity to speak here. So I will take a few minutes to share the FTSE Russell global strategy and its relevance to APAC and, of course, to Taiwan. FTSE Russell's focus has been always to support our customers our clients with investment solutions by providing products and services such as the benchmarks, the analytics, and data solutions with the multi-asset capabilities. Our global perspective is underpinned by specialist knowledge gained from developing local solutions and understanding the client needs around the globe. Aligned with our global strategy, we're committed to further bring global initiatives and launches into the APAC region. There are a few key themes. The first one is about sustainable investments, which covers the range from the ESG, the green revenue, green finance, and climate-related areas. The other one is about smart beta. And this is a very important trend as we see how components of passive and active management are used in the benchmark solutions. Here I'd like to share a few highlights for this year. Now, of course, ESG has been the very mainstream topic among the Asian countries, and there's been a lot of the seminars, educations around this area. But the highlights I'm sharing right now is actually about two other areas. On the equity index side, we are partnering with the Transition Pathway Initiatives and recently launched the FTSE TPI Climate Transition Index Series. This index series captures the risks and opportunities that arise from the climate transitioning by adjusting exposure to companies based on their TCFD-aligned climate governance and commitment to achieve the 2-degree alignment or lower. Now, and this is the very key initiative products that we combine the climate transition into index solutions. The second one I'd like to highlight is actually about Green Revenue 2.0. Now, ESG focuses on the governance, the company governance in 3 areas: the environmental, social, and corporate governance, while the green revenue is actually focused on the products the company manufactures. So the Green Revenue 2.0 is about to get launched, and it provides, we're providing expanded data solutions offerings to more detailed taxonomy classifications. In our Green Revenue 1.0, one thing to highlight is Taiwan has done very well. In the 2.0, we expect that Taiwan will continue to perform very well in this new data model. As sustainable investments continue to be a focus and the global trend, we see the same for Asia-Pac. Regulators across the APAC, including Taiwan, are moving to put in place a structure and ecosystem that supports the movement of private capital towards risk as the key areas of focus. The improved disclosures and harmonization of classification systems will make it easier for investors to identify opportunities for sustainable investment. And we're actively engaging across the financial markets value chain to drive towards this agenda on disclosures and on sustainability through our exchange partners and issuers for disclosures, and have a regular dialogues with the standard setters and regulators. As Taiwan's emerged as an ETF hub in Asia, we're working with asset managers such as Yuanta on creating benchmark solutions, including some we call smart sustainability, which combines sustainable investment data models and factors such as dividend yield into the benchmark solutions. Now, I'd also like to mention, FTSE Russell has entered into a long-term strategic partnership with the Singapore Exchange to develop a comprehensive Asian emerging market focused equity index derivatives, alongside with the ESG and REITs index derivative offerings. Now, the first index futures launched by SGX under this partnership was based on the FTSE Taiwan Recap Index. Again, this is a major initiative this year. And after that first launch, there's many more launch focused on the Asian emerging market index futures, and there are many more to come. Now, we also start to apply sustainable investments into fixed income index and make them available into our analytics platforms. One product to mention is about FTSE Climate Risk Adjusted WIGB, which measures the performance of global sovereign bonds with a tilting methodology that adjusts index weights according to each country's relative climate risk. One product to mention, to highlight, is actually about the card WIGB series. This is a partnership with the Nomura in Japan to use the carry and roll down factor in the fixed income securities to rebalance the indices. And it has been a very successful product so far. Last thing to mention, other than the product and development strategy, our presence in Asia, okay? With the increasing focus on regional initiatives, we are expanding our operation in this region. This includes the expansion of various Asian offices, and in particular to mention our Taipei office. We had a grand opening last year in June, and we have continued to hire and expand. This is a very strategic move that allows us to support the expansion of our customers in this region, and then also to around the globe. And that's it from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan. Let's welcome Betty. She will talk about investing Taiwan through Yuanta ETF.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Betty Chen. I'm the head of ETF investment team. So for the next few minutes, I'm going to highlight some of the recent developments in Taiwan in terms of ETF products, and as well as talked about some of what has changed in terms of investor behaviors and preferences when it comes to ETF investment. So last August, for the first time in the history of Taiwan, the size of the onshore mutual funds actually exceeded offshore mutual funds. ETF and money market funds were the key drivers, and they played very important roles behind these new achievements. The shifts in the investors' behavior can actually be seen from the strong growth in ETF markets in terms of the size and also in terms of the number of investors. So if you look at the top 10 most popular Yuanta ETFs in 2020, you'll discover that many of them are actually Taiwan equity ETFs. This particular category actually experienced the fastest growth in 2020. And as Julian mentioned, the number of beneficiaries and also the total size of the assets actually grew really fast. According to our figures, the total fund size actually grew 70% to right now is 330 billion NT dollars. And in terms of the number of beneficiaries, it actually grew 78% this year to right now is over 800,000 people. So in addition to that, crude oil is also very popular this year. Due to the high fluctuations in oil prices, this has made crude oil leverage ETF the most actively traded security in Taiwan stock market. Also, 5G ETF has made to the top 10. Taiwan has been a very tech-centric country. Taiwanese investors love to invest in tech stocks. So when these two 5G ETFs were first launched last November and this June, it actually set numerous records. For example, our 5G innovative technology ETF, which was launched this June, actually attracted and raised the most number of money during its IPO. And it also attracted the most number of investors to invest in the IPO at that time. However, if you look at the table, China actually pushed to the bottom. From our observation, China fever has been cooling down over the past 1 or 2 years. I think it's mainly because of the uncertainty due to the trade wars between China and US, and also the gloomy outlook of the Chinese economy also discouraged investors to put more money into these products. Yuanta currently manages 51 ETFs, spanning across 5 different asset classes and also 5 different return patterns. When it comes to product innovation, we're always the first mover. It is our goal to introduce more products and more complete landscape to the Taiwanese investors. For this year, our focus is still on megatrends. Megatrends that we identify to have structural and transformative influence to the investors' behavior and investor needs include age, society, ESG, and 5G. So aging demographics actually can bring a lot of new opportunities for lower volatility and high monthly income products. According to the National Development Council in Taiwan, Taiwan is actually entering the super-aged era by the year of 2026. This means that capital preservation and monthly income becomes ever more important and essential. But however, Taiwanese investors have a habit of putting a huge sum of their assets into high-yield bond funds, overexposing themselves to currency risk and to credit risk. So as a substitute, we're seeing in recent trend is the rising demand for high-yield Taiwan dividend, Taiwan equity ETFs. Among the all ETFs in Taiwan, Yuanta's Taiwan Dividend Plus ETF seems to be a really good option. Because our ETF has the longest track records, it has proven to be able to provide 5 to 6% annual dividends over the past 9 years. And also, its high liquidity has made it very accessible, very easy to access by investors in Taiwan. thus making it the most popular Taiwan ETF in 2020. ESG is another megatrend that we think is going to prevail over time. Last year, we launched Taiwan's first Taiwan Equity ESG ETF in Taiwan. The product actually tracks an index compiled by FTSE Russell and Dept. The product, once it was launched, continued to grow in size and the number of investors. This product is highly supported by millennials and also younger generations. It is also the most talked about products among bloggers, social medias among all local investors in Taiwan. So the use of ETF has evolved from a simple tool to access a certain markets or access a certain assets to becoming a very important building blocks for solution providers and asset managers. And we're seeing as more products have been introduced in Taiwan, the use of ETF is going to grow really fast. For example, in Taiwan, Taiwanese investors embrace the idea of dollar cost averaging through the extensive use of RSP, regular savings plan, to directly investing in ETFs. Local brokers also introduced the RSP tool on their electronic trading platform at a really low fee, so to attract more people to become ETF users. In addition, ETF is vastly used by life insurance companies in Taiwan as a solution to solve for their limited human capacity and research capacity. And also fixed income ETF is widely used by lifers to enhance and optimize their balance sheet so that their trading strategies can be more flexible. So we think ETF in Taiwan is going to be the next megatrend. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Betty. Our conference is about to the end. I would like to thank all the people who spoke and attended today. Thank you for your participation.